Hello everyone and welcome back to my home. My name is Jessica Tiarina and this is Jessica's Kitchen, tips, tricks, and hacks. Now I've been sending out some messages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter the last couple of days on this very wonderful tip I'm going to give you guys today. Something you're going to use for a long time hopefully, or at least even just start with as a base for you. Now these are going to be some marinades. Again, welcome. My name is Jessica Tiarina, and this is Jessica's Kitchen, tips, tricks, and hacks. We're going to talk about marinades today. The weather is changing, finally. It doesn't look like there's snow in the forecast, but who knows, it's Minnesota. Tomorrow it could snow. I know they opened up the golf courses, so I saw a bunch of people with their golf bags cleaning out their garages, dusting off those clubs. That looked like a bunch of fun for some of the neighbors I have. As long as they maintain that 6-foot distance. No sharing carts. Anyways, marinades today. We're going to focus on 2 specific marinades today. A baseline of marinades that you can change to your own, make it your own flavor, add different flavors to your profile. These are just going to be a base of a Mexican marinade and a base of an Asian marinade. Hi, Nicole. The Asian marinade is a simple Southeast Asian marinade, so it does have some chili peppers in it, some ginger, some star anise, and some sugar, some garlic, lime juice, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then the Mexican is just your baseline Mexican. I tried to use ingredients that we most likely would have in the house right now. If not, I know everyone's shopping about once a week, once every 10 days, something like that. So you can plan around that. It's still a little crisp in the air, but it's ready to be grill time. So hopefully you guys will find these marinades useful throughout the rest of the summer and the springtime now. And these can be used interchangeably between any kinds of protein or vegetables. You can marinate some tofu, you can marinate some tempeh, you can marinate some fish or pork or beef or chicken, whatever you have as far as that protein base goes, feel free to use these marinades. I'll talk in coming blog posts that I have about specific ways to marinate certain vegetables, because some of them you don't want to marinate overnight or they get mushy, especially if there's things added like a bunch of acid. Both of these will contain an acid of some sort. That is something that is actually going to help penetrate the meat and get that flavor in there. If you're just throwing a bunch of herbs and some peppers and some olive oil in a container with your base, with your meat or your protein, it will penetrate the outside, not as much as the inside. And you don't want to use a ton of salt, because if you use a ton of salt, what that ends up doing is breaking down the protein so much that it might turn mushy. And that's something we really don't want to have if you're going to have it marinate for about 24 hours. I would say a minimum marinade should be about 2 hours. I try 4 to 6 usually, but if I'm thinking ahead of time, which sometimes I do on occasion, some of us do, you're here now, so you're thinking ahead a little bit. I'm helping you with that. Those marinades should be in the fridge for about 24 hours. Again, we'll talk later about some of the length for different vegetables that you're going to marinate, because you don't want them to turn to mush, because then they're just no-go. So we'll do this quick. Simple, basic Mexican marinade. I'm going to do all of mine in a mason jar, and I'm going to shake it up real good, and then I'm going to toss it onto the protein, and I'm going to keep it in the fridge until it's time to grill. So my basic Mexican marinade. Now, this can go a lot of ways. We could transform this, which I will in the coming week, into things which, Nicole, I know your favorite, al pastor. I will give an al pastor marinade recipe in the next coming days. But this is just a basic Mexican. So this is going to be some Mexican oregano. People have asked if there is a difference in Mexican oregano and just traditional oregano, and there is. Garden variety oregano, dried oregano, so you can grow herbs in your garden, or oregano, and it's kind of those, smaller than a dime-sized leaf, real aromatic, very thick stalks, very fibrous. Or you can have oregano in your yard, kind of growing like a creeping Charlie, and that is still edible. It's just a little bit more earthy in flavor and less floral and aromatic. Mexican oregano is very sweet. It's almost like the difference between a regular Genovese basil and a Thai basil. One is much more potent and much more sweet. The Mexican oregano is more sweet. I buy mine at my local Mexican market down the street, but I also get it at the farmer's market when that opens up, which is actually now. So this is for about 2 chicken breasts that I'm gonna do, some chicken thighs actually. I'm gonna do 2 chicken thighs, and I did about a teaspoon of Mexican oregano. Hi Joyce, hi Teresa. So a teaspoon of oregano, this is a Mexican marinade, guys, just basic. Teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of ground cumin, okay, 1 garlic clove, just sliced. All I want is to get that flavor out of that clove. 1 chipotle pepper in adobo sauce, okay? So that chipotle pepper and adobo sauce, usually you buy it in a can. There's a couple different varieties you can buy. They're about $2, $2.50 a can, but you get quite a few in there. And a chipotle pepper, if you didn't know, is just a smoked jalapeno. So after it's been smoked and soaking in those sauces of that adobo sauce, which is basically like a Mexican ketchup, it turns that dark red and that black almost in color, but gives a really rich smoky flavor. So I use a chipotle pepper and adobo sauce in most of my Mexican recipes for marinades and in just food in general, because it substitutes, unless I want to take the extra time, it substitutes from me having to take a bunch of dried chilies, rehydrate them, pulverize them, put them in a food processor, and then add other spices on top of it. This just kind of takes away, it's just a one-time thing. Buy a can, open them up, separate them into bags, freeze them until you need them. 1 chipotle pepper and adobo sauce, 1 garlic clove sliced, 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano, 1 teaspoon of cumin, this might be challenging because this orange is too big, 1 juice of half an orange if you can. This is going to be challenging. Oh yeah, all right, we got it. Juice, woo! There we go. Juice of half an orange. That's the acid that we're using for this recipe. Now, if you don't have an orange, go ahead and use a lime. The orange actually does bring quite a different flavor to it, and it is used widely in Mexican cooking. For my carnitas spice blend, I actually have dried orange peel in there, because when you're making carnitas, especially in a crock pot, you're gonna add like the juice of an entire orange or 2, plus the zest, just to get that kind of a little bit of a bitter but very sweet from the juice, and then the zest brings an extra potency of that citrus in there. Hi Favor, welcome guys. Hey John, hi, welcome. Again, very simple Mexican marinade, guys. So what I have going on here is a chipotle pepper and adobo sauce, 1. This makes 2 chicken thighs. So then I have 1 garlic clove sliced. I've got 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, the juice of half of an orange, and this orange is really potent, I can smell it. And for those of you who know how much I love my zester, I am gonna put a little bit of orange zest in here. This is a zester or a microplane. I use this for so many things in my kitchen. It's one of my go-to tools, especially I cook a lot of Asian cooking, and you zest a lot of things like ginger and garlic just to get it to that minced or that really fine structure that you're looking for in recipes. Kind of, you want it to melt into the food. You want to dice it or chop it as finely as possible. Hey Dan, welcome. Thanks guys. Okay, so one additional thing, I'm going to add in a bay leaf. Okay, so your simple Mexican marinade, 1 chipotle pepper and adobo sauce, 1 bay leaf, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano, 1 garlic clove, just sliced, doesn't have to be diced, you just want that flavor and those aromatics to come out. The juice of a half of an orange, chipotle pepper and adobo, can't remember if I said that, and then about a half a cup of olive oil. You can use any kind of olive oil you want. It's a marinade. You can use extra virgin if you want. I tend to just use an olive oil, just a regular olive oil, about a half a cup for this. Again, this is enough to marinate 2 to 3 chicken thighs, boneless, skinless. And then if you don't have chipotle peppers and adobo sauce, and let's say you just have a jalapeno, or you don't want it that spicy or spicy at all, eliminate that piece of it, but you really want that smoky flavor in there. Smoked paprika is another one of my go-tos in my kitchen. I use it in place of paprika all the time. Unless it specifically calls for a sweet paprika, I'm using smoked paprika for almost everything I have in the kitchen. So I'm gonna not put that in there because I do have the chipotle pepper and adobo sauce in there. And again, like I said, the chipotle pepper is just a smoked jalapeno. And it gets that flavor from being smoked and then added with that adobo sauce, which is traditionally a Mexican ketchup, if you will, but much more flavorful. A little less tomatoey, a little more peppery and herby and earthy in flavor profile. That smoke really gets you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shake that up. Now because of the acid, because of the orange juice that I put in there, I am not gonna add any salt or pepper to this. I really don't like to salt and pepper my meat when I put it on the grill till right after I put it on the grill, and then I just salt it just a tiny bit. I don't need that much because hopefully there's enough flavor in here to penetrate that meat. Again, like I said, I'm just gonna use a chicken thigh, and I'm gonna pour that right over the chicken thigh. Like I said, this is enough for 2 right now. There's only 1 in there. And I'm gonna put that in an airtight sealed container. I have glass containers. If you wanna put it in a plastic bag, that's totally fine. And then I'm gonna stick it in the fridge until it's time to grill tonight. And that's it for the Mexican one. So simple. Again, later this week, I'll hop on again with you guys and I'll teach you one for al pastor, which is very different. And that's a fun one too. Very flavorful, much sweeter. It does contain pineapple, in case that piques any of your interest. So the next one here that I have that I'm gonna show you real quick, guys, is a Southeast Asian marinade. Okay, so this one is gonna have juice of a half a lime. Again, 2 to 3 boneless, skinless thighs is what I'm using. We're gonna have a smorgasbord grill tonight. So juice a half of a lime. I diced up 2 small Thai chilies, and by small, I mean really tiny, okay? This is real small. It's like the size of my pinky finger, okay? If you guys can see that. I'm all red today, so you might be blinded by that, but 2 small Thai chilies. These are really hot. I can smell them after just cutting them before I came on today. So spicy. So if you don't want it that spicy, use 1. Use a half of 1. Do a quick taste, do a tongue taste. If you're too scared to do that, just do a quick sniff. 9 times out of 10, when you cut into that chili pepper, you're gonna be able to smell it. Sometimes jalapenos can be a little tricky. They're a little ghosty. You gotta take a little bite and then wait and then bam. But with the Thai chili peppers, 9 times out of 10, you can smell them the minute you cut open. So we're gonna have that Thai chili peppers in there. I'm actually gonna add in a star anise, okay? This is used a lot in baking and a lot in Southeast Asian and Asian cuisine in general. It is usually in like a 5-spice Chinese powder. I'm gonna put that in there. I'm gonna put a half a teaspoon of sugar in there. I'm gonna put, again, 1 clove of garlic, just quickly sliced up, not even diced. I just cut it into like 5 pieces. Just throw it in there. I'm gonna do the zest of about a half an inch of ginger in there. Now, I can just slice this ginger into slices like I did with garlic and throw it in there. I just want the ginger to be really flavorful. I really like that ginger taste, along with, it's kind of a cooling effect along with those Thai chili peppers that can get really hot and totally fired up. All right, so that's quite a bit in there. All right, so now this is where the fun stuff comes. This is where some of the stuff you may not have in your kitchen, but it's a fun recipe and I wanted to show you guys. So if you do get out eventually sometime, a lot of these ingredients can be found at your local grocer, but some of them are specialty ingredients at your Asian markets. But I think a lot of them now are so much you can buy at your local Cub or Lunds and Byerly's, Kowalski's, Trader Joe's, wherever you shop. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add about 1/8 of a cup of soy. So this is clearly going to contain some sodium, some salt, all right, because of the soy. I'm going to add, this is not traditional for most Southeast Asian cuisines in a marinade, but I'm going to add just a little bit of sesame oil. I kind of want just a little tad of nutty flavor in there on my chicken thighs today. Next, what I have is fish sauce, okay? Fish sauce, you guys have maybe heard of it, smelled it, tasted it. Most of you have probably had it and you have no idea you've had it. It is an essential ingredient in a lot of Thai cooking, Asian cooking in general. It's fermented anchovies and it is potent in smell, very potent. I mean, it's fermented fish, for crying out loud. So I have one that is much lighter in flavor profile. It is Haku Awashi. It's a whiskey barrel aged fish sauce, okay? It is not cheap, but I'm trying to see if you guys, that glare is not doing anybody favors here. Okay, there we go. So you can buy any brand of fish sauce. I probably have 6 or 7 different ones in my house just because they all have different intensity of fish flavor in them. And depending on what I want to make, I could use less or more of one or the other. That's fine too. But I really like the added sweetness of the whiskey barreled one. It's aged in a whiskey barrel. There is no whiskey in it. It's just aged in there. So it does give a little bit of a smoky after flavor and taste to it, but it also tones down that anchovy flavor a little bit too. So if it's something that you're just trying out, you might want to start with something a little bit like that. This thing was about $30, I believe, but it will last me a year probably. And for me, that's a long time. I can go through a large bottle of fish sauce in a couple months if I'm doing a ton of Asian cooking. So now I want to put very little in here. I want to put maybe, that was probably about 1/4 teaspoon in there. If you put too much, it's going to get out of control. You're just going to have to double the other ingredients and put it in there. I wouldn't start over, but just continue to add the other ingredients in there. And now I'm going to add, so we've got our acid in there, which is the 1/2 juice of a lime for this Southeast Asian marinade. We've got a little bit of this fish sauce, okay? We've got some ginger, some Thai chili pepper, or some red chili peppers, some garlic, a clove of star anise, and then we're going to do again about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of olive oil. And I'm going to put that in this jar, and I'm just going to shake it up till it emulsifies a little bit with that acid. There you go. So it turns this cloudy brown color, almost like a turkey gravy when you emulsify some acids and olive oils together. And now I'm going to go ahead and just put that right on top of my chicken thigh. I've only got 1 in there, so I'm going to do 1/2. And then if you have it, it's nice to add something fresh in there. Like I have some fresh cilantro left over from a chimichurri that I made earlier this week. I'm just going to throw that on top. And again, I'm going to cover that up and I'm going to stick it in the fridge until tonight when it's time to grill. Now, some good things to know about grilling. So when you turn on your grill or you light a charcoal, I have charcoal. I like the flavor. I can't control it as easily as gas. I get that, but I do like the flavor of charcoal. So I've got my charcoal going. I got tons in there. It's super hot. It's ready to go. I want to make sure that when I put my protein or my vegetables on that grill rack, that I don't want them dripping. Okay, so you want to take them out of the marinade and maybe put them in another bowl or on a plate. You don't want to like pat them dry too much because you want to keep that flavor, but hopefully over the course of the time that you had it marinade, that is in there. That marinade has saturated the protein or the vegetable pretty nicely. Again, follow up with me later this week. I'll let you guys know when I'm on again, and I will talk a little bit more about what vegetables you should marinate for how long, because some of them will get mushy if you marinate them too long. All right, so thanks for joining me today, guys. This was a quick lesson on marinades. It's grilling season, it's grilling time. Super excited to get out there. This was just for 2 chicken boneless, skinless thighs today. I did a Mexican marinade. I did a Southeast Asian marinade. Tomorrow, check in with me, chat with me, let me know how things are going. Tomorrow, I will be on at 1 o'clock, another Facebook Live, and I will be doing a Mediterranean marinade, Italian balsamic marinade, okay? Sounds good. Thank you for joining me, guys. Be happy, be safe, be healthy, wash your hands, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. This is Jessica's Kitchen, Tips, Tricks, and Hacks. Have a great afternoon.